Welcome to Resurrected Rose Petals. I welcome you, brothers and sisters, to another episode. This episode is called If There's a Hell Below, We're All Gonna Go, in memory of the great Curtis Mayfield. This message is correlated with the message that he was given through the vibes and musical vibrations of funk music in his time and era. I thank you for the comments, the likes, and the subscribes. I know we're going to have a slow process with this, for even in those holy books, those righteous ones only had a few that listened until they were no longer here. So I welcome those who have an ear to listen and a heart to receive. Those who have a heart to receive, allow me to be an instrument to harp the truth from the Creator of us all, so that your eyes may open and that your heart may receive a new anointing with the wisdom planted in your mind. Today I would like to go to the first book of Corinthians, chapter 1 and 18, which reads, "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolishness the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe." First and foremost, brothers and sisters, I'd like you guys to always revisit our origins, for we are reading a translation into English language. This is not the origins. So when you're reading about anything pertaining to another God or following the wrong things, be careful. For the devil uses things that are good so that he can implant that which is bad. So in reverse, our origins and our contributions to civilization has been marked as something unliked, unpleasant, or unworthy of being followed. This is to deviate us in mind from having an interest in who we are as a people and where we come from. Whereas this is not truth. For the origins of Jesus the Christ is Heru the Christ, or the lighthouse, which is ancient Kemet for our ancestors inhabited in that era of time, which is known as Egypt, which was named by European conquerors in today's era and time. European conquerors named Egypt. But when we study these things, we must first understand that preaching and God in European interpretation, if you look at it from face value, that's dwelling on the surface, not understanding the derivative of where it's translated from. My delivery that you should research and study so that you can find the facts and know yourself reveals that those gods that the Bible are speaking about not to follow, that your enemies, that your foes are representing to you as being bad, is a literary concept of twisting the truth around. So now truth is falsehood and falsehood is truth. Book of Romans. You can Google that and just Google that precept in the King James Version Bible, the book of Romans, where the truth has been made a lie and the lie has been made a truth. and understand in proper context what's going on. For as your enemy has locked you into the mental perspective of believing anything outside of Christianity is following another God. What you once followed in your homeland in Africa was Hebrew and a principle of attaining wisdom through the enlightenment of God. When we were conquered and these materials and transcripts and principles and precepts and holy books were taken, and our original transcripts and libraries were burnt down, and the new interpretation was presented to the world, anything outside of that new interpretation was seen as another God that you should not be following, which was only to be prescribed to Europeans, which were allowed to read at that time. So this was to lock in the mental perception to believe that there was no God but the God that was being presented to the people at that time. Once slaves began to be physically released, not mentally, we only prescribed to our understanding what our superior at that time counterparts, which were enslaving us in servitude, were indoctrinating us to believe. Now we have a conscious decision for no one to be superior above us and for us to be inferior to no one around us. We must make the conscious decision to understand and learn what's going on. For those gods that we should not be following are the gods which came after he ruled, which have become European deities in the flesh instead of the principle which applies to all flesh. For everyone should have the opportunity to attain the enlightenment and wisdom of God. But when these principles and precepts become something that are locked into an ethnicity or a race of people, there's a problem. The question should be asked is, why would one want to change a principle into an ethnicity? Well, let's do the research. And you will discover that we are the beginning of the human species on the earth. What do I mean? There's no other ethnicity on the earth that can create an African. But Africans can create the albinism strand, which is today's albino, and we can create any other pigmented ethnicity or race of people on the planet. We are the originators. The problem with that is God revealed that wisdom through us first. And when we were conquered, our conquerors saw fit that we not be remembered in the greatness that we were once present in before their power began. The whitewash then took place. So now we don't know ourselves. And anything outside of Christianity that's seen as other gods is what we refuse to study. It's what we refuse to acknowledge, because we have been indoctrinated to believe that our masters are the hero be all, which is foolishness of preaching. I want you to soak that in for a minute, because this brainwashing has very deep roots. It goes through our grandparents, through our grandparents' parents, to before them. For we are a generational enslaved and victimized race of people in these Americas. All we know is what we've been educated with by our oppressors. We know nothing outside of the box, which is why we program within a box that keeps us in the same place mentally. And successfully as well. For when we arrive to success, we only arrive to a new area where none of us are anymore. We leave our communities, we leave our areas. Some of us even leave our own ethnicity as marriage counterparts through indoctrination. Believing that love is nothing but love and wisdom has nothing to do with anything, because in indoctrination, slaves do everything they're told because they fear dying or running off the plantation. This is mental indoctrination. There are some of us who even choose to believe the concept that no one should be able to judge but the Jesus the Christ. But we're judged on the news daily by those in gowns and robes, appointed positions of authority that take our whole life away by not even acknowledging the indoctrination or caring that our ignorance and self-destructive behaviors are engineered and systematic process that's been implanted on us to destroy ourselves so that their survival in power remains imminent. They don't care. I would like to read another precept from the first book of Corinthians. And the first book of Corinthians, I would like to read chapter 2, verses 15, which reads, "But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man." I know some of us love the late brother, may he rest in peace, Tupac. Only God can judge me. But you must look at everything in context. For even Pac, may he rest in peace, spoke about the God within, and that God is the one that judges all things through you. Not the God outside of yourself. That is an illusion and a servitude concept for you not to serve correction on yourself. So many of us are indoctrinated to such a degree that even on social media, it's nobody's business until you're harmed or in danger that you serve consideration to what's going on around you. But your oppressors check everything that gets out of place. Ain't that something? Indoctrination at its finest. So the only one that's able to serve correction and direction are those who have been putting you in check for 400 years by hanging us by the neck. But we are not able to judge ourselves because we're serving a master that forced himself to be our master long ago, after our abduction from our homeland took place. He that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet is judged of no man. So we need to correct ourselves and stop waiting for someone else to put these things in order. We need to take over our communities and stop asking for someone to bring law enforcement or guards of authority from the government to bring order to our people, for they are only coming to kill and destroy. It is repetitive in nature what is going on because the indoctrination is repetitive. Our mental behavior is only a mirror to our servitude of a master, now through a paradigm of different artistic approaches. What do I mean by that? A chameleon is always a chameleon, brothers and sisters, but it knows how to blend in to its environment. I'll say that again. A chameleon is always a chameleon, brothers and sisters, but it always knows how to blend in to its environment. The late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that racism is like a chameleon. It only changes form, but it is always there. Research that. You can Google that as well. What is these messages that these brothers were leaving? What were they telling us? What are we not researching? Why are we not knowing ourselves? For preachers and people of position have been put in positions and bought by the mighty dollar to transmit the agenda of the indoctrination, which keeps us discontent and disillusionally satisfied and content with our conditions, because we are not becoming mentally able to create and to will into existence the kingdom of God within and without. Meaning, because of our indoctrination, our miseducation causes us to be destroyed. Because we are destroyed inside first, not knowing who we are ourselves and not having direction, we have misdirection around us with our brothers and sisters who are as lost as we are ourselves as individuals. So collectively, we are a lost and we are a miseducated and an ignorant ethnicity or race by design. But we have a conscious decision and choice that we can make to change that. But we must get beyond this indoctrination of believing that Europeans are a superior race by spiritual and divine appointment. This was put into writing to mislead you. And it is an interpretation of something before it in our homeland in ancient Kemet, which is Egypt in Africa today. And make no mistakes about it. Ancient Kemet, which is Egypt today, is not the only place that these principles derive from. For there are many great lands in Africa, but our ancestors consciously chose to put the capital of this diaspora and accumulative knowledge into one location and called it Kemet, which is Egypt, because of its equatorial position in our country that we come from, natively, Africa. Why did they do that? Because the sun rises and sets at a certain point to where it emanated that territory in Africa in the most beautiful fashion. And it served as a great place to study the movement of the sun and to further expand its knowledge and growth in understanding the movement of the cosmos and its relation to us as human beings. For this is where the divine principle derives from. It is the measurements, calculations, and the spiritual metaphysical understanding of the movement of the SUN that has now translated into the SON, outside of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, to flesh. And many of us are carnally minded to such a degree that we kill for material things before we kill for preserving truth. This is because of the indoctrination. And if there's a hell below, we're all gonna go. Until next time, like, comment, and subscribe to Resurrected Rose Petals. Peace.